Hey guys, what's going on? Will here, Flawless Crested Geckos, coming to you guys with another video. I'm going to try to keep everything really upbeat for you guys. Hopefully you guys, see the title and get in here and are able to absorb this information. So, done with Crested Geckos. Are you done with Crested Geckos? We are not. Hopefully the title got you to come in, because yes, it's going to be very relevant to what I'm going to be talking about for you guys. Disclaimer, all this, I don't have Audra here to kind of stop me from running off on my tangents, but as you guys know by now, everything we put out is positive information, informative information, hopefully educational information. We don't have the rule book or the instruction book to how to do this thing. This is very untapped. There's very few people that do this full time and are successful at doing this. We're trying to be successful. We're successful in our own right. That being said, there's a lot of people in the industry that are, done with Crested Geckos, and that's fine. Everybody, sure, right. But we would like to get down to hopefully the root of the issue. As you guys know, we continue and will always be positive for the community, and that's what this is for. Some people, Crested Geckos is not going to be for you. We get that. That's why there's a whole bunch of different animals and reptiles for your, your needs and your wants. That being said, you know what it goes back to, guys? It goes back to the question we constantly put out there. We put it out there on our Patreon. We put it out there in general to the people we meet. When you get into Crested Geckos, you have to ask yourself a genuine question. Is it going to be a hobby or is it going to be a business? You have to ask yourself that genuine question. That's very real. It seems so simple, but it's not. It can start as a hobby and fold over into a business. It can start as a business and you not be so business savvy about it and want to scale back to a hobby. You can go back and forth, but it has to make logistical and financial sense. Which brings us to this topic, guys. So hopefully this can be helpful for the entire industry and help people. We watch everyone. So this is no stabs, jabs. Anyone who watches us, anyone who meets us, anyone who knows us know that we're nothing but positive, because that's what we want to put out there. So a lot of times if we see a problem that we don't have a solution to, we do not want to throw nonsense or hearsay into the mix. Audra and myself has been business owners for quite some time. This is our primary business, as well as the snakes, Flawless Exotic Creations. But that's another prime example. Comment down below if you guys want us to kind of give an overlay of that business plan for Flawless Exotic Creations, which is theoretically still in the red. When you're dealing with a business, you have the red that you operate and operate in. Normally businesses operate in the red for 3-4 years, sometimes 5. 20% of all businesses that start, they fail in the first 3 to 5 years. These are hardcore facts. That's just how it is. You need to evaluate the lane that you intend to walk down. To bring this back into focus, being done with Crested Geckos. What got you excited about getting into Crested Geckos? It has to be about the animals first. These guys, man, these geckos, they're so fun, exciting. We're constantly challenging ourselves. We have so many projects that you guys don't know about with the Crested Geckos that we're just literally pounding away trying to figure things out within ourselves before we bring it to the public. One of them we kind of just rolled out with bringing the light, and it's fun. It has to be entertaining. It has to be interesting. But Flawless Crested Geckos being a business allows us to be able to kind of venture off on several different areas. Look at the way we started. Before we had our facility, before we built our facility, we were in our home, just like, 90% of everyone else. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. You don't have to have a huge facility, but you have to have planning and direction. And you have to work within your limitations. Meaning, when we're in our home, you have to identify problems, which is a major factor in business ownership. And we very, very fast, very, very quickly closed in on space limitations. We started in one of our bedrooms, expanded to our second open bedroom. We have a decent sized house. We had 2 spare bedrooms full of geckos, expanded into our second den. It was taking over 3 rooms in our home, over half of our home. That's all one level. And then also the bathroom, the third bathroom was literally our incubation area. And we were still closing in on the limitations of that space. And what really pushed us over the edge, and we were already a business, but what pushed us over the edge to go ahead for the facility, where things were going so well, the business plan was being executed so well, and we were very thankful that we were letting go geckos. You heard our story. We were letting go geckos that we were building these projects around, and we hold back a lot. We want to be, every breeding we do, we want something to hold back. We're shooting for something. Maybe every breeding doesn't get you that hold back that you imagine. Lately for us, it has been. So we're able to hold back, move forward. We have so many different lines that we can, branch off and section this off and go this way and that way. Whole nother video. But we reached our space limitations, and we were letting go geckos where, as you've heard us say again, our high whites, whether it's red high whites, whether it's high contrast, dark contrast high whites, our lines seem to come on later, not fresh out of the egg, so we're getting 10, 15 grams and geckos are completely transforming. And we were letting go geckos 10 grams, 12 grams, 15 grams. Due to space restrictions and saying, hey, we already got our holdbacks over here. This one is kind of on the verge of being a holdback. We'll let it go. And getting contacted later on, year later, months later, with update pictures and noticing that we shot ourselves in the foot on some projects. We're like, man, we would have kept that if we knew it was going to turn out like that. So we identified that problem and circumvented that problem with a solution of building a facility. It was a big, big undertaking. Go through our videos, watch our videos. I'm gonna try to abbreviate as much as possible without Audra here. She helps me so much. But again, are you done with Crested Geckos? So in that grand scheme of things, what ended up happening was we were able to fine tune all the programs we were concentrated on. Great structure, lily whites, high whites, red high whites, reds, extreme harlequins, tricolors. Those were all the programs we were in. I mean, it was serious. And then we went to the facility and expanded, invested a ton of money. But again, a lot of it, all of it, came from the Crested Geckos themselves on the business side. So it was reinvesting funds into the business. And then we saw the potential where we said, okay, we don't only want to be good, we want to be great at what we do. And that's subjective, to the person evaluating success. So we don't like getting into a certain project and just being, as I'll just say, meh, MEH, meh. We like to go above and beyond. We like to go to the top as much as we can. We're not saying that we're better than anyone. We just strive to be flawless. So we got into super dials. We have insane you guys haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg of some of our super dials. We got into white spot, and working that white porthole trait to the max. We see some beautiful displays of white portholes all over. So we wanted to get into that. We also got into cappuccinos, Only ones we haven't really dabbled in just yet is Sables, and it will come eventually. You know, maybe we'll reinvest into that. And yes, we continue to reinvest even in a down market because, guys, that's the business of it. That is the business of it. Again, everyone's putting out videos. Love it. Keep it rolling. Don't look at this as a jab. We support absolutely everyone. Everyone. We support everybody. We just want everyone to be able to look with, you know, clear eyes at both sides, hobby, business. Theoretically speaking, you can get into Crested Geckos and say, hey, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to get what I want, get what I enjoy, get what I like. All of that is going to come associated with a price tag. When you purchase, you're okay with that tag, regardless of what it was. Now, when you get into a little bit of the pricier animals, I think that has been the problem as a whole for the industry, because what you run into is indirectly it's almost buyer's regret. Caps came out. We were one of the ones to get into caps too. We're producing caps, we're producing fraps and everything, you know, but you know, you had the whole thing going on with the super caps and everything else. We get that. Problems come about. It happened with lily whites, guys. But it still doesn't lose the value for us when it comes to caps, because we can still produce caps with great structure, and put them into programs where we're gonna, you know, blend two programs, see how white caps are gonna look like, put caps more into our reds, you know, see how we're gonna work our fraps into our Xanthics. We're about gene stacking and pushing the envelope of the industry. That's the challenge side of us. The challenge side of us also comes with financial risk. You can't, you know, take the financial risk and financial burden. There's reward and there's risk. So you may not win. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. That being said, look at what happened with the industry as far as caps. Okay, cool. That's fine. You have to do the numbers. They say the same thing about Xanthics. Xanthics been holding value for the longest across the board for the entire industry. It is what it is. Thank goodness we're into them and we're going strong with them. But it's all relative. You have to adjust with the market. The market is not one seller. The market is not five sellers. The market is going to be the market, and it changes according to, you know, who the seller may be. You know, there's tons of sellers we respect. We respect a lot of people we work with in the past and currently with a lot of different breeders. Some of the breeders don't get along with each other, you know, and that's understandable. People are going to be people. To name just a couple, you guys know we work with Brian at Altitude. We love Brian. You know, we love Brian. Brian's family. You know, at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with business. You know, we've done business with Brian, and it's good business with Brian. Hey, you got this? Yep, boom, here's your money, da-da-da, and we're done. But we still have a friendship. Like I said, family. We've done business with Tara. You know, we love Tara. We've yet to meet Tara in person. We can't wait to meet Tara. Tara has pushed our collection in our acquisition phase of some of our higher end tricolor, high white stuff, cream stuff in such, I mean, we've leapfrogged so many of our own projects by bringing some of her blood in. And we're not afraid to say that. We've said that on plenty of Diamond Series videos. You know, you give credit where credit is due. Zengex, insane lily whites. Okay, same thing. We have Ash. We have one lily white from Zengex who has been absolutely amazing. You know, lover. But he puts out phenomenal geckos. We're still waiting for some Jarvis blood. You know, we have very specific blood and very specific geckos we look for. KDS, you know, we haven't bought from KDS yet, but we love what they're working with. There's so many people to name drop out there that are working very specific projects. And if you guys notice one thing about everyone, if you focus on the business side and perfect your craft, you will be successful at what you're doing. You will. You will be known for whatever you're working on because you're pushing the limitations of what was thought to be limits. So to get back onto it, you have to determine what lane you're in. You can play in both lanes, but you have to determine what lane you're in, hobby or business. And again, this is with respect to everyone. We want to put this out into the industry to help. So if I'm a hobbyist, as a scenario, I can't go out there and I'll spend, let's say we'll use cappuccinos in the market right now. We'll do two scenarios. But if we use cappuccinos and I go out there and I get a super cap, I'll get a super cap for $25,000, and then before anything was known, I get, 3 cappuccinos, for 10 grand a piece. I'm still at 55 grand. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you get them with some decent size. Again, as a hobbyist, I just spent $55,000. For me, it doesn't make sense as a hobbyist. Comment down below if it does. Some people enjoy nice things. Some people enjoy rare things. That's not lost on me. I get that. A lot of the Korean market, for example, there's a cultural difference from the Korean market versus the US. It's almost like a hierarchy of prestige, to own something a lot of other people don't own. It's different. We have that here in the States, yes, but it's just different. So again, you're into it 55 grand as a hobbyist. And then let's say you only want to breed to very specific animals you don't have, yet, animals you purchase as babies, you grow up. There's nothing wrong with this process, but also you cannot be upset that you acquired your caps, your super caps, you acquired your lilies, Hawaiites, whatever else, your reds that you're gonna breed into these animals. Your caps seem to be ready before your other animals are. Here it is 3 years later, 4 years later, you're finally producing caps and from your starting stock, and you're disappointed because caps are $500, caps are $700. You can't really be disappointed about that. I mean, you can be disappointed, but you can't be angry about it. It's the industry, number one, it's an incomplete dominant trait. You got to understand the science behind that. You got to understand the business side of it. So, because that's what it translates to. It's a hobby. You're having fun. You were happy when you purchased. That's where it should stop. You were happy with what you paid when you purchased, and you're done. Same scenario as a business. You purchase that, you still winning, because if you're going to purchase that same purchase, 55 grand into 4 geckos, super cab, again, all this stuff is before all the drama. We don't get involved in none of the drama. We just want to speak facts and hopefully explain to people that's on the fence or not quite understanding hobby and business. This should simplify some things.
Hey guys, Flawless Crested Geckos here, Will, Audra, and we're here to tell you about our Patreon.
Yes, going through tough times, you got to know that Flawless is always going to have your back. If you go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos, you'll see all the perks and benefits it is there for you to come and support us on our Patreon. $50 a month turns around and goes right back into your Flawless Crested Geckos savings account for you to use towards your next purchase.
Any purchase. We also give awesome benefits such as 5% off the top of the price of the gecko. We give free merchandise, t-shirts, we have stainless steel tables, tools, yes. All kinds of goodies. We also give free shipping to our members all year round, no blackout dates. And we give awesome tips, or we think we do anyway.
That's right. So go over to patreon.com/flawlesscrestedgeckos
and join our
should simplify some things. At that point, when you purchase that, guess what? And we're not talking about overbreeding, overproducing. Why not already? You spent that type of money, you should have had vision already. Okay, and if you didn't, if it fell into your lap, you better get vision really quick. Because it's a business. Imagine Toys R Us with no toys. Okay? Imagine Bed Bath and Beyond with no towels. Guys, come on. This is the business side. Again, you gotta keep it relevant. Therefore, if we're gonna make that type of investment, into a business, we need to make sure that we already have infrastructure in place. We have enclosure, we have all of that, we doing all of that. You already have your market or your lane where you're creating a draw, you're increasing your reach, you're able to get out there to people. You're drumming up some drive and some interest into your brand. Flawless. We're not trying to put it out there, but we are. We want you as viewers to respect us for us, be happy and ecstatic to see us, and for us to be such normal people that you are not nervous to come say, hey, I watch you, or hey, can I get a picture? Absolutely. Every single time. Absolutely. We ain't telling nobody no. Absolutely. So you need to create that for yourself on the business side. You gotta welcome people in. Never frowning faces, never anger, never mad. That's what you want to put out there, positivity. So same scenario, you have those geckos. Why not have, 4 lily white? Again, we're talking about 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Why not already have 4 lily whites? 2 males, 2 females. Why not already have your extreme Harlequin reds? Everything pristine structure, ready to rock and roll, where you literally, hear me out, you have 12 geckos, in totality, where you have 3 males, 9 females. You figure it out to a point where, depending, everything, the dynamics change with sex and gender, but basically you're giving each male, that's your cappuccino, 3 females across the season, each male. And then one of your lily white males are going to be going to, your cappuccino female. One of them. You want 2 just in case, hey, maybe that male doesn't breed. Okay, if that male doesn't breed, we haven't had those issues, but if that male doesn't breed, you got a backup male. It should be irrelevant for you to put, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 male or female on the shelf for a $50,000 project. That means it's no panic mode. That means, okay, you got 1 or 2 breedings going, 3 breedings going, and you have this ready to breed female on the shelf that you invested a lot into her at that time, $3,000 for a ready to breed female, or that you grew, her value may be $3,000. Guess what? It needs to be okay with you that she doesn't breed that year. It has to be. All of our breeders don't breed every year. And that's in the business plan. You can't run maximum capacity when it comes to breeding year after year and expect no issues. We don't want the issues, therefore we don't breed maximum capacity. Actually, honestly speaking, we can house and, we would have to get more enclosures, but we could probably we'll need more employees too, good grief, but we could probably do over 5,000 geckos, probably easily 600 breeders. We could probably do 600 breeders, which we don't have, and with babies and breeders we could house over 5,000 geckos. Guys, let me tell you, even in the up industry, we will never have 5,000 geckos. 5,000 geckos for us, Audra and myself, is going to be too much. Way too much. We would need to literally triple ourselves. We need 4 partners. We need 4 people that are identical in thinking how we are. We need 4 people that push each other like we push each other as bosses, on top of additional employees to facilitate the cleaning, the feeding, the scheduling, the pairing, the egg checks, the videos. We try to come with you guys with the videos now. We really ramped it up because we have everything fine-tuned. But if you guys paid attention, next year we're going to be ramping it up again. We're going to be doing more shows. A big show for us this year was Daytona. There was a lot of logistics. If you guys watched our videos with the Fish and Wildlife, which was easy, but it needed a lot of our attention. We had a lot of hiccups and stuff going on with that. They came by the booth twice. They were very helpful. But again, watch that video, check it out. But we want you guys to be mindful of all the decisions. Don't fly by the seat of your pants. Get the things that you're interested in, and work it to a T, but be okay with whatever face value of everything. We purchased things that, dropped down in prices. Our cappuccinos, when our first two that we acquired, we have a bunch of cappuccinos now, under 10, but our first two cappuccinos, they were close to $7,000 each, and imported it in, and we're importers. So we had to drive 4 hours to go to Atlanta import. Why? Who knows? They couldn't get it to a GSP, which are local international. So we had to drive and go get them and go through an entire process we thought was going to be 4 hours, drive there, sit there 30 minutes, hour, come back 4 hours. Nope. We drove there. We actually told you guys about it. Drove 4 hours there, got our import, but it wasn't that simple. We had to literally do the broker and show all our paperwork and tax ID number and EI. We had to go through the hoops. We were down there in Atlanta for 8 hours just to turn around, guide them, drive 4 hours back. So it was a 16-hour affair. We was exhausted right after we got back from Belize. Anyway, speaking about Belize is another scenario, because we were in Belize on vacation with Brian. You got to enjoy what you do. Same thing goes for Azantics. So with all due respect, we love Sostic. We love Sostic. Go follow Sostic. He's an amazing YouTuber. We've grown over the years watching his YouTube. We respect him tremendously. Go subscribe to his Instagram. Big shout out to him. We had not spoken with him about this topic. We hope he doesn't, take offense to it at all, because this is all respect. It's respect within the hobby, respect within the industry. So with that disclaimer, he made a video. Love the video. It gives you a concept, a proof of concept. Where he says, I think it's not clickbait, because it's true. He purchased, I believe, 2 hats. Go watch his video. But he spent $10,000 on 2 hats. And the industry now, you're not getting $5,000 a hat. The reason, so to combat that discussion, what's going on with that, a good proof of concept would be, you have to determine whether you want to just produce a visual or whether you want to produce several visuals, whether you want to get your investment back, whether you just want to produce a visual without purchasing the visual. So in that sense, he's correct. You purchase 2 hats, even if you hatch out 2, you're kind of breaking the threshold right there once you hatch out 2 visuals, where you're kind of breaking even regardless. So even in that and of itself is fine. Even in this current market, you hatch out 2 visuals, even if the visuals are $4 or $5,000, you got your investment back. Even if you're keeping them, you still have 2 geckos you never purchased per se, and you still have your 2 investment geckos that are still capable of breeding. Or if you want to resell them, you can get back a portion of that money, but you still have to have that face value of your 2 visuals plus whatever you attain from the resale of your foundation pair, or maybe you just get rid of the male or whatever it may be. You can still gain another $1,500, $2,000 on top of face value for your visuals, and you still have the other female. You're winning across the board. You can set yourself up in a better scenario as well. Always, if you're operating on a budget, no matter what the market may be, make sure you stay on the 100% side of the male when it comes to your hats. And honestly, you cannot, I don't believe, disclaimer, it's our opinion, you can't upcharge for POS hats on Azantics. If we have let's say we have an POS hat Azantic, and I know this is a long video because we really hope this helps the industry as a whole and brings us together. Let's have a conversation in the comments, the ups and downs, and how you guys feel about it. But Proof of concept, again, you have a pos het, meaning your male, female, whatever of a parent was het. The opposite was not het. It was a normal, whatever it may be. If you breed het to a normal, you have 50%, pos hets. All the babies are 50% pos het. That means that it's a 50% chance that that baby is het. There's no shed testing. There's no testing for crested geckos yet. Hopefully it will. Especially on the ball python side, where they're leaps and bounds ahead of us. Pay attention to that industry, even if you are not interested in ball pythons. Getting into ball pythons for us really opened our eyes. I want to say, if not as long as ball pythons have been here, crested geckos have been here. The thing is, people for so long, there's people that pioneered crested geckos, okay? That's been here way before we have. And we want to be, like I said, positivity in the industry. When you hear our name or see us, you want to see us with no drama surrounding us. Therefore, I'll put it out there, like, we've seen plenty, there's no examples, no names being dropped, but crested geckos were here for so long, and people just pretty much put male to female together for so long and produced, whatever, as just cool animals. They are cool animals, but a reason we never got into wild caught, for example. Look at the industries, compare the two industries. People get into wild caught and ball pythons because they are trying to discover new genes. There's 300 plus genes in the ball python world. Some of them are duplicates, but not very many. There are a lot more snake guys, ball python guys than there are crested gecko businesses. We get that. Literally the field is, you can't compare the two. But that being said, imagine you importing a handful of geckos from New Caledonia, 200 geckos from New Caledonia. These are all wild caught animals, regardless of the structure, how they look, if they look dull, plain, boring, whatever it may be. These are our geckos are the descendants of these geckos. Everyone's. But what they did not understand is whether you understand incomplete dominance or recessives or not, at the end of the day, those geckos back then, those wild caught, I would feel is extremely valuable with the time. You may had a triple recessive, bald, crested gecko that you had no clue was in it, and you got to breed it, hold on to stuff, figure things out at that time. The reason why we don't really get into, and again, it's a disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with people working with them. Reason why we don't get into the crested geckos as far as the wild caught is because we've worked to fine tune our lines so hard. Imagine working for 6 years trying to gain specific white trait, white spot, extreme lines, and putting very specific geckos together with different lineage coming from different places, whether it's the Netherlands, whether it's the UK, whether it's Canada. You putting all these lines together that all fall in line with your project. And what you're perfecting and what you're getting, you're perfecting every year. You're evolving every year, and it's getting better and better. Your mind is being blown every single year with your productions. Some people's projects don't go like that. So far, thankfully, ours has, thankfully. But you're literally looking for specific traits to put into these geckos, and you're holding this stuff back. You're getting insane offers. It's irrelevant per the video. We've turned down 15 grand. We've turned down 10 grand on insane geckos, whether it's our Yoshi, which we paid less for Yoshi, whether it's Cringe, all these geckos, but we need them for our program. We need them to perfect our craft. So I say that because if we choose to go get a F1 or F2 from wild caught and now breed whatever genes may be into that gecko, into that specific line, whether it's a red line, whether it's a high white line, then it kind of is counterproductive for us. Just for us, it's counterproductive. Only value that we see in wild caught would be maybe sustainability if you're having problems with your geckos getting started and surviving. Maybe it's some sustainability. There's more research that need to be done in that area. I believe Robbie's Reptiles, he feels confident about eating behavior and everything as far as sustainability with wild caught. That's fine. We're friends and we disagree. But to reiterate that, a wild caught for us is really only important if we're searching for something that's untapped. We want to get almost like 20 plus years ago when they brought the geckos in, wild caught, and you got these quote unquote ugly, no structure geckos, but you want to figure out what it's not showing. You want to figure out if it has something recessive in it. You almost have to line breed it and figure out after generations what is actually in it. Sometimes you're going to figure out there's nothing there. And sometimes you get a win and you figure out you got a sable-like gene. And I'm throwing names out there, guys. I'm not saying that this is where it came from. But you have a sable-like gene or a gene that resembles a lily or a pixel. There's so many interesting genes out there that you can get out there and work. But that's the only value for us that wild caught would have. So we pay attention to the ball python community because they work this stuff to a T. And that's where we separate so much, guys. We need this in this industry, whether this breeder doesn't like this breeder or that breeder don't like this breeder. At the end of the day, the same thing is going on in the ball python world. The difference maker with the ball python world is the consensus there is if this breeder don't like this breeder, both of these breeders agree that a pastel is a pastel. Both of these breeders that can't stand each other for whatever reason, it could be personal, it could be business, both these breeders agree that this is a visual clown. So we don't have that camaraderie yet, and we're hoping to build that with videos like these. Again, this is an empowering video, also a proof of concept video. If you are on the fence, we don't want any Crested Gecko owners to own Crested Geckos and continue to own Crested Geckos if you don't want them. If you have no drive to want to care for them on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, you probably should get into another field. You probably should leave it alone for a while. Give it a year or so to see if you get that itch back. I will tell you this though. If you think the industry is low now and you're down and out, you're probably going to end up getting out and buying back in when it gets high again. It goes on this. We've researched this to a T. It goes on this roller coaster. We're gonna actually. I'm gonna do another video in a little bit for Patreon. Our Patreon members, as far as tapping in and acknowledging and letting them know, hey, if you can ride the wave out, there's ways that you can mitigate the risk, and explain that to them. Anyway, the second scenario, really quick, because it's a super long video, would be with the Xanthics. So back to Sawstick, he purchased in, he got 10 grand, 2 hats. If you are able, to, it's one thing to go that route, and it's perfect, there's nothing wrong with it, but you got to ride that wave out. Even with the, I guess you could say the rates of producing visuals out of 2 hats is still gonna be relatively high. This is your first season. People need to remember, on the business side, you're not profitable in the beginning. So even if you start a project, stop looking at it as, I start my business in the red with all the investment, invest in all of these animals, and then let's say around year 3, 4, you are in the black and doing decently well. But when you go to reinvest into a project, you're treating that project in and of itself as almost another business, and it's not. You have to treat that project as a reinvestment into the business. And also remember this key point of the video. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, we're in fitness, I'm a professional bodybuilder, I've traveled all over the US competing, been in law enforcement, been in training officers on safety and survival, personal trainer in the gym, fitness clothing, the whole 9 yards. Audra's done hair, she's a hairstylist, owned her business for 12 years. She's a personal trainer, certified. We've had all of these business. The major difference between this business, which makes things as far as in concept, easier. This is truly the only business that you can buy a head, a visual, or whatever, and make money off of your investment right out the gate. Think about it, guys. You can't buy a house and watch a house reproduce. Yes, there are different concepts, but I'm talking about hardcore facts. You can't buy a car and watch it reproduce. Look at the car dealerships. They getting, cars from the manufacturer, or used car dealerships. They're getting cars from an auction. They're upside down immediately, waiting to try to get on the right side of things. Crested geckos, animals, long as it's being done in a responsible manner, and it's always about the animals and not overbreeding or puppy milling, as you may say. It can be done in a manner where, hey, even out of 2 heads, you produce, say, only 2 visuals the first season. You get skunked. You only get 2 visuals. You're still winning. Because guess what? You still got a healthy pair of heads that going into the following season, they're going to produce again. Even if they produce 2 years, you're in the black. Think about it like that. You're in the black and you still have your investment in just 2 years. Not very many businesses is like that for just that program. So hopefully you guys enjoy this content. Comment down below, create some positive discussion. None of this is meant to be negative. We're not pointing fingers at anyone. Again, shout out to Sostic. Love what he do. We look up to him. He's definitely a mentor when it comes to his videos. He's far beyond our reach, and maybe we could do something in the future. And we love what he's doing. Shout out to Supreme Gecko, Altitude, Terra. Shout out to everyone. And if you're into this type of content, you're gonna want to shoot over to Patreon and jump on there as well. It's a different type of content. I'm sure you guys have seen our commercials. You've seen our commercial in this video. We try to keep them short and to the point, but the gist of it is all the video content that we do put out, the content is out there for free. We put a lot of business content out for our Patreon members to get an understanding and a different viewpoint. A lot of people only see things from the hobbyist side, and if you can get them to have a light bulb moment, aha moment, you can probably get them on the track to success. But hey, it's Will, Flawless Crested Geckos. We love you guys. Again, spread the love, spread the positivity. Don't pay attention to any hate. Haters are gonna hate. If they're in your realm, get rid of them, shake them off. Put positivity out there no matter what. All right. See you guys later.